This is the tip of the week, and it's about vertical buttonholes. I realized when I was, hey George, when I was teaching this past conference that I had not done a video for this. It's kind of obvious, but you never know. I'm going to do a vertical buttonhole, and when you're talking about vertical or horizontal buttonholes, that doesn't mean how they appear on the garment, that means how they're worked. And this is going to be vertical to my stitches. So that's why it is a vertical, hey George, why it's a vertical buttonhole. And basically, you work to where you want the buttonhole to start. Hey Georgie. Taking a nap. Okay. And you drop one ball of yarn. Now, typically you'd be doing these in the same ball color, but I'm doing them in. George, no. No, George. Well, I've got enough to work this. You add your new ball of yarn, and what you want to do is you want to have a long enough tail because you're going to be using that to improve the looks. Honest to God. George. And you just work in with a new ball of yarn. Now, in a real project, of course, this would be the same color. Okay, and you just turn and you work as many rows as you want the buttonhole to be. Now, the thing that's important to realize about a vertical buttonhole is it is not very strong. It's a pretty limp. Okay, I pick up the new color, or the original ball of yarn, and work to the end. But again, this isn't a very strong buttonhole. It is an excellent buttonhole for oversized large buttons because it's very easy to make it big, unlike eyelet buttonholes, and it's easier to work than a horizontal one, which I'll do next week. I don't think I've done that one yet. I'm just going to make this a few more rows. Now, the most important thing about this guy is that when you are done with it, you do some cleanup with those yarn tails. So you want to make sure that those yarn tails are nice and long. And you can use them to strengthen or to make the buttonhole smaller. Now, as I said, one of the problems I have with this buttonhole is it always seems to be bigger than I had originally planned. It's hard to get it to be the right size. So I'll do one more row and then I'll finish it off. And George, you got an embarrassment of riches down there with yarn? Yeah. Yep. He thinks I do this for his amusement. Yep, there he goes, off to find greener pastures. And anyway, so here I go. Now, when you have the buttonhole the size that you want, what you do, and I'm going to turn, is you just simply drop the second ball of yarn, and you continue to work with your first ball of yarn. Now again, the key thing about this buttonhole is you want to make absolutely sure that you leave long tails, because, see, I'm just going to continue working with in pattern, whatever the pattern is that's established. I'm going to do one more row that you have that tail long because you're going to be using it for some cleanup. And in the blog, I'll have a photo of this with the cleanup that I've done. I'm not going to videotape the cleanup as the video would be too long. So I'm just going to work one more row across. Now again, what this is particularly good for is a large button. And this buttonhole does tend to stretch out a bit too, and you can see I've got my buttonholes there, and that is a pretty big buttonhole. But notice that it's very flimsy because it's just a selvage stitch on the side, and it also is maybe bigger at the top than I had planned. And we'll show you how you can clean it up a bit, or I'll have some photos of that in the blog.